Senhoras e senhores, hoje é um dia muito especial. Eu tô muito feliz, eu tô honrado, eu tô até nervoso. E não é pouco não, tô bastante nervoso, porque eu tô tendo a honra, o privilégio, a oportunidade de receber aqui nos estúdios do podcast, do Jota Jota Podcast, uma pessoa importante, não só para mim como empreendedor, mas também para você como consumidor e também como empreendedor. E ela impacta a sua vida. Essa pessoa fez algo, construiu algo que impacta a vida de todas as pessoas no planeta Terra, independente se elas empreendem ou não. Eu estou muito feliz. Hoje é um dia que eu começo meu podcast lembrando e reforçando que o trabalho devolve. Hoje vai ser meu primeiro podcast em inglês, pessoal. Primeiro podcast em inglês. Então, que bom que vocês estão aqui para esse momento tão importante. Eu estou recebendo hoje aqui Uri Levine. Uri Levine é cofundador do Waze. E eu tenho muitas coisas para falar sobre ele aqui. Até o jeito que eu estou começando está até diferente, porque bastante respeito. Cofundou o Waze em 2008, tá? Então foi uma grande disrupção e é até hoje uma grande disrupção nos negócios. Vendeu o Waze em 2013 por aproximadamente 1,1 bilhão de dólares, ou seja, para quem estuda startup, investimento, saída, exits, né, sabe que qualquer empresa vendida por 1 bilhão de dólares ou mais é considerada um unicórnio. Esse foi seu primeiro unicórnio. Depois cofundou outra empresa, né, que é a Fax, que também é uma startup focada em transparência na relação das taxas ocultas em produtos financeiros. Cofundou a Movit, que também foi o seu segundo unicórnio, ou seja, mais uma vez, uma empresa construída, gerou valor e também ela foi transformada numa empresa que vale mais de 1,1 bilhão de dólares. Ele é uma pessoa que tem relacionamento incrível, tanto no mercado empreendedor, no mercado das startups, reconhecido mundialmente, e está aqui no Brasil. Está aqui no Brasil lançando o seu livro, que é Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution. Mas esse livro, ele também está sendo traduzido e já foi traduzido para o português. Aqui, ó, Apaixone-se pelo problema, não pela solução, pela editora do meu grande amigo, né, grande irmão, que é a editora Citadel do Marcial, que está aqui, que daqui a pouco você vem, tá? Pra gente bater um papo. Você ter uma ideia, o momento que eu tô gravando esse podcast agora são 7 horas da noite de uma sexta-feira, aqui em Alphaville, e pegar o trânsito. Porque não tá fácil chegar, muito trânsito, né? Muito trânsito.
Graças a Deus que tem o Waze.
Ele entendeu. Graças a Deus, thank God there's Waze. Ok? E muito bom. E a gente está recebendo aqui Uri Levine. Sir, thank you very much to come here.
Thank you.
And talk with the Jota Jota Podcast.
Absolutely happy to be here.
First of all, I want to tell you that I'm a little nervous because the first time talking in English, and but I'm so proud.
Thank you.
About the opportunity. Is your first time here in Brazil?
No, I've been here many times.
Yes.
With Waze being so successful here in Brazil, I ended up to be here often. And before Waze, launching Waze, throughout the journey of Waze, and then after that as well.
And you, do you like samba?
I do like samba.
I play samba.
Amazing.
Look.
Yeah, let's hear some.
This is for me to become calm. Now I'm calm. Yeah! Só eu toco samba pro cofundador da Waze. Yes, thank you. And do you like pão de queijo?
You know, it should be illegal. You cannot stop eating them, right? This is absolutely amazing.
Okay, so in your book, you're telling about falling in love with the problem, not the solution. What is about that? Why this is so important? Why this is your theme of this book?
When you are building a startup, really what you have in your mind is that you are trying to create value.
Yes.
The simplest way to create value is solve a problem. Because when you solve someone a problem, you create value for them. And so it's simplicity, but it's also a way of thinking, right? Because when you And for me, I would always start with the same thing. Think of a problem, a big problem, something that it's worth solving, something that the world will become a better place if you solve that. And then ask yourself, so who has this problem? Now, if you happen to be the only person on the planet, then it's your problem, right? But if a lot of people actually have this problem, what you really want to do next is go and speak with those people and understand their perception of the problem. And when you do that, you actually know how to build a solution because they provided you with the feedback that will help you to build a solution.
Yes.
Now, if you follow this path, problem, users, solution, and your solution works, it's guaranteed that you're creating value. If you're starting with the solution, you might be building something that no one cares, and that's going to be really frustrating. But there is way more into that. When you think of the problem is going to serve as the North Star of your journey. Yes. And when you have a North Star, you're going to make less deviation from your journey. You're going to be more successful. But it's also about way more compelling story. If we will be here in 2007, and I will tell you I'm going to build an AI crowdsource-based navigation system, then you're going to say, oh yeah, very interesting, but you don't care. If I will tell you I'm going to help you to avoid traffic jams, then you do care. Yes. And so when you tell a story that is linked to the value or to the problem, then you actually have a way more compelling story to be told. And this is why I will tell all the entrepreneurs in the world, start with the problem, start with the why.
And do you have a method to do that? Like a lot of questions, this is new, or this is old? Is your way of thinking?
It's my way of thinking. Okay. It's and it's really simple, but it's very hard to implement, right?
Yes.
I would ask you to go and speak with 100 people. Now, most people, they would speak with 1 or 2 that will confirm their thesis, and then they will go and build a solution. But if you need to speak with 100 people, then you're going to speak with people that you don't know. And by the way, you don't really need to speak with 100 because after 20 or 30, you would know if this is a problem worth solving or it's not. You would know. And when you do that, it's actually increase your commitment to the journey. This is where you fall in love with the problem. This is where you believe that those people that actually have this problem, they sent you on a mission to solve that problem for them. And that was always the practice for me. And it's the simplest way and the best way to create value.
And what do you mean about fall in love? What is fall in love with the problem? Because you say
really simple.
Love.
It's really simple, right? So think about your wife, right? You think about her every day.
Oh,
it's the same thing, right? When you think about the problem every day, you think about the problem when you go to sleep, you dream about the problem, it's the same thing, right?
Yes. It's a new kind of thinking for me. Think about the problems in my company. In this month, I'm doing every week a weekly session with my team about what is the problem that we resolve. And the second question, what is the value, our value? And the third question is, and why the customers needs to pick up us and choose us. I'm right in this.
You are definitely right, because when you are doing this session with your team, then everyone is aligned, right? Everyone understands why we are doing what we are doing, and who are we doing it for. And these are the most important things in order to become successful. You want to create value. You have to think, you have to ask those questions over and over again all the time until people realize that this is the journey.
This question, that's your first question that you do for the entrepreneurs, and what's the problem that you resolve, or what's the problem that you solve, and what is the number one question that the news or the new startups, new entrepreneurs did to you in your journey? What's the number one question?
So, I have a lot of entrepreneurs approaching me, sending me emails, and most of them sounds like our company is, right? Which basically you focus on the solution, right?
Yes.
If you will say the problem I'm solving is, or this is the value that we create to our users, then you are already 100 steps ahead of someone that is focused on their solution.
Yes. And tell me about a little bit about this book. Stevie Wozniak. Spoiler alert. This book, I'm gonna read in Portuguese too. Pessoal, Steve Wozniak, que é um dos cofundadores da Apple, ele fez uma menção aqui para o livro, que ele diz o seguinte: este livro mudará a sua vida e ainda se transformará em uma bíblia que o norteará caso você seja um empreendedor. This book is about simple things that change everything.
Yes. It's people know me as an entrepreneur, right? I've built Waze, Move, 10 other startups, 2 unicorns, which is quite unique. But I'm also a teacher, and I would like to share my know-how with other people. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm doing most of the days is actually mentoring my CEOs and guiding them and helping them to become more successful. But as a teacher, writing the book was fulfilling my destiny. And my destiny is very simple. It's about value creation. Uh-huh. And this is why I wrote this book. I wrote this book. What I had in my mind is people that are building their own business people in general, entrepreneurs in particular. And I try to create value for them. And I try to create value for them by creating this cookbook or handbook of how to build businesses.
Yes.
And it takes you through where to start and understanding the journey of building a startup. And building a startup is a very complex journey, right? It's a very long journey. Mm-hmm. And usually I would say there are 3 dimensions to this journey. The first one is that this is going to be a roller coaster journey with ups and downs and ups and downs. And if you'll tell me that you have ups and downs as well in your business, I believe you. Mm-hmm. But when you're building a startup, the frequency of those are way higher. Mm-hmm. I think that I heard the best quote on that from Ben Horowitz. Ben Horowitz is one of the founders of Andreessen Horowitz venture capital firm. And before that, he used to be a CEO of a startup. And he was asked if he was sleeping well at night as a CEO of a startup. He said, "Oh, yeah, I slept like a baby. I woke up every 2 hours and cried." And that's really the reality of this roller coaster journey. It's ups and downs, and you change your mindset a few times a day. So for a certain extent, I would say, look, if you don't like roller coaster, then maybe building a business or building a startup is not for you. It's going to be a very long journey, way longer than you think of it, because at the beginning, you try to figure out product market fit. And product market fit is very simple. This is where you create value to your customers.
Yes.
If you don't figure out product market fit, you will die. As simple as that. In fact, you never heard of a company that did not figure out product market fit. They simply died. That's it. Mm-hmm. But for a second, I want you to think of all the applications that you are using every day, from searching Google, using Waze, WhatsApp, Uber, Netflix, Instagram, whatever it is, and ask yourself, what is the difference between any of those today and the first time that you have used that? And the answer is that there is no difference. We are searching Google today the same way that we search Google for the first time in our life. We're using Waze today the same way. We're using Uber or Netflix or whatever the same way that we did it for the first time. So once a company figure out product market fit, they don't change the product anymore. They move to the next part of the journey, which could be about, figuring out business model or growth and so forth. Mm. The challenge, or the part that we don't know, is how long did it take those companies to figure out their product market fit? And in most cases, this is a matter of many years. Right? It was 5 years for Microsoft. It was 4 years for Waze. It was 10 years for Netflix. Mm-hmm. It was 6 years for OpenAI that did ChatGPT, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's always a matter of years of a very long journey until you start to create significant value. And then you are on a path of being successful. The third element, or the third dimensions of this journey, is that this is going to be a journey of failures. Mm-hmm. Look, we think that we know exactly what we're doing, but we are building something new, so we don't really know. We try one thing, and it doesn't work. We try another thing, and it doesn't work. We keep on trying different things until we find one thing that does work. And if you realize that this is going to be a journey of failures, then there are 2 immediate conclusions. The first one is that if you're afraid to fail, in reality, you already failed because you're not going to try. Albert Einstein used to say that if you haven't failed, that's because you haven't tried new things before. If you're going to try new things, you will fail. And one of the most significant limitations in an ecosystem is fear of failure. If people are afraid to fail, then they're not going to try new things. And I think this is one of the things that we would like to change in the ecosystem here in Brazil, is that lowering the fear of failure, so more people actually going to try new things. The second part of it is that if you realize that this is going to be a journey of failures, then you really want to fail fast, because the faster that you fail, you still have plenty of time and plenty of resources to try something else, right? So you try another version, you try a different approach, another feature set, go-to-market strategy, different go-to-market strategy, and so forth. And the more attempts that you have, you increase the likelihood of being successful, as simple as that.
Yes.
Just imagine that you are trying to, score a football from half court, right? Now, if you have one shot, it's going to be very hard.
Yes.
But if you actually have a lot of shots, one of them you're going to make, and that's it.
In Brazil, we have a lot of problems about fear of the failure. Is like normal too. That happened to you in some point of your journey?
I was lucky that I grew up at a house that my parents encouraged me to try, right? So I would come to my dad with a crazy idea, right? A stupid idea. And he would look at me and would say, why don't you give it a try? Now, he knew that it's not going to work, but it still will send me to give it a try. And then there was no judgment, right? Which actually makes you, which empowers you, right? Because every time that you fail and you get up and continue, you get up stronger and better. Yes. There is a Japanese saying, that fall 7 times and get up 8.
Yes.
And if in your audience you have parents for kids, maybe the most important thing, teach your kids to fail. Encourage them to try new things and fail. Because when you do that, you allow them to try new things in their life, and they are going to discover what is it that would make them happy and what is it that is going to make them successful. Otherwise, they would be afraid to fail. And if their fear of failure is significant, they are not going to try new things.
Yes. Whoa. Do you have sons?
I have 5 children, and my wife has 2 daughters, so together we have 7 children.
7? Oh. I have 3 boys.
Amazing.
How
old are they?
4 years, João. And Joaquim have 1 year and 10 months. And Pedro, 7 months.
Okay, so they are young.
Yeah. 3 kids in 3 years.
Amazing.
Like a startup. And how did you know Marcial?
I didn't. But I decided that I want Brazil to be the second market that we launched the book. And then I have an agent that was reaching out to different publisher here in Brazil. And Marcial actually was the one that believed the most in the book. And he actually committed himself to make it successful. And I trust him on that.
Yes. Ó, tô aqui com o Marcial, a gente vai fazer o seguinte para os ouvintes, né? Eu vou te perguntar em português, mas aí você responde em inglês. Sim. Pode ser?
Claro.
Então, enquanto eu estiver falando com você aqui agora...
A gente fala português.
A gente fala português, mas pro Uri
responde em inglês.
Como é que foi a história do livro? Como é que você chegou até esse livro? Conta no detalhe, e aí conta esses detalhes que talvez ele não saiba.
Exato. Well, the book came to me when André, which is editor like me at Citadel, said, hey, there's a great book, great opportunity for a book, which is one of the founders of Waze, the guy that's right behind Waze, the guy who thought Waze, said, hey, let me see his story. Then I read about his story. And I fell in love with him.
Me too.
Let me just remind you that my wife is here.
Oh. That's too bad. And I fell in love with Uri and with the book and with the idea. And as he said, Uri, it's much more than an entrepreneur. He's one of the, I think it's 60 guys that had 2 unicorns, and I bet he's going to have 3 or more. Yes. He will. But he's also a teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, because when he speaks to people, when he talks about it, there's that big, bright shine in his eyes. His eyes are like, he creates value for the listener, and he speaks with the heart. So he is exactly the way he is speaking here. And I can witness that, and I can say that. And then one thing that's really nice was that when we were talking about the cover, me and all Citadel's team, and then we go like, hey, Waze is probably the most used application in Brazil.
Yes.
Everybody uses Waze, and sometimes more than twice a day. I said, hey, let's put blue on the cover. And then I go like, show him, like if we were doing something really extraordinary, outstanding. Hey, look at this, Uri. And he goes like, yeah, I like it. He said, hey, I can see that you didn't like it. Yeah, because everything's yellow. And then when we got to the hotel in Brasilia for an event, then I said, hey, I don't know Uri. I don't know him personally. And then there was this guy at the reception, at the desk, and there was a yellow suitcase and a yellow backpack. I said, that's Uri.
Yeah.
And so the book came. We have, as all the publishing houses do, there is a bid for the book. So you bid for the book.
Okay.
And then I thought Citadel had the higher bid. He told me it probably was not. But he could see our commitment and the time we used to make the book happen. And then he chose us.
And how long the deal about you and Uri?
5 months.
What is that?
I asked him to put that because he was talking about failure. That's really nice. The two roads for failure.
Yes.
When he was speaking about failure, and most people think that it's just a road, unblocked, free, and then you just choose between being successful and being a failure, and it's not. It's a lot of failures, and then you are successful at the end.
Yes. Ok. And quando que esse livro vai ser publicado?
15 de agosto é a data oficial de lançamento dele. Está na Amazon, pode comprar na pré-venda. Já está na pré-venda.
Já está na pré-venda?
Já está na pré-venda.
Então é o seguinte...
15 de agosto vai ser liberado.
Então a gente vai colocar aqui um link agora desse link da Amazon para você comprar esse livro. It's possible for you to sign 1 or 2 books for our listeners and followers?
Yes, absolutely. So yours is signed. Yours is signed, but there is here another one.
Yeah.
And
thank you. Dear John, wishing your amazing journey of value creation.
Maybe how about we get 3 books donated by Citadel to do a prize draw.
Whoa.
3 books signed by Uri Levine, and then you do exactly as your team and you want to do a prize draw.
Yeah.
Vamos fazer um sorteio para a galera de 3 livros, então, assinados pelo Uri.
Com uma regrinha, né? A gente cria uma regra. Mas, então vão 3 livros assinados na pré-venda, incríveis. 3 livros maravilhosos. E a gente vai sortear para vocês. A gente vai criar uma regra aqui. Qual vai ser a regra? A gente vai... Do you have Instagram? Do you have Instagram?
Not that great. No, LinkedIn is...
LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Ok. Não, mas eu faço muita bagunça, o pessoal mandando mensagem para ele, né?
Eu acho que é muita bagunça. Acho que ele não vai.
I'm telling about the message that the followers could send to you on LinkedIn, but I think this is gonna be a lot of message.
O pessoal pode entrar.
It's okay. It's actually a good thing.
Yes.
You know, I in my book, there are two things that I'm actually doing. One is the last chapter is called Epilogue, not epilogue, epilogue, because and one of the things that I actually ask people there is to pay it forward. Yes. And so if you gain something from the book, if this value created value for you, then I want you to go and teach someone else and bring value to other people. So this is pretty significant. But I also have my email in the book, and I expect people to reach out to me, and I do answer all of my emails.
Yes.
João, também a galera pode entrar também, pode mandar mensagem no direct do Joel ou da Citadel, ou a gente pode inventar.
A gente vai inventar, né?
O que você inventar, tá feito. Você que dá as ordens aí.
Uri is a teacher.
Is a teacher.
Love teaches. Yes. And tell me something hard about Waze.
You know, when we started, then it took us about 9 months to raise capital, and then we started to build the first version, and the first prototype was running on a PDA. Remember, a long time ago, there were dinosaurs, and then PDA, and then Nokia phones, and today we all have iPhones and Android, right? Uh-huh. So we built the first version running on a PDA, and then we built the next version running on a Nokia phone, and it was actually working good in Israel. And so we decided that we're going to go take that global.
That was the first map, Joel.
Was the first map?
Yeah.
Yeah, blank page.
Blank page. That was the first map in Tel Aviv. First. No map.
Waze is crowdsourcing everything, not just traffic information and speed cams, the map data itself. So when we started, that was the map of Tel Aviv. There was absolutely nothing on the map.
This is true?
Yeah.
And
no map.
And then when driver drove, we actually collected the GPS data from the device, and if we take the GPS data and draw that on this blank page, then we're going to start to get to see where people are actually driving. And that was the road system. And so we've created the map out of the crowdsourcing of the map data. So it was working nice in Israel, and we decided in 2009, towards the end of 2009, that we are going to take that global, right? And end of 2009, beginning of 2010, we make Waze available everywhere. And it was not good enough. It was simply not good enough. It was not good enough in Brazil. It was not good enough in the US. It was not good enough in Europe. It was not good enough.
So when people, there was no map. So
There was
people
no
were just driving.
Yep.
And when they drove, you collected their GPS data.
When they drove, the road was actually created for them.
The road was created.
Whoa.
So as soon as you drive, then the road is being created, right? And if you're making a left turn in the intersection, then we know that you can make a left turn there and so forth. The important part is that in the journey is that it was not good enough, right? And so we spoke with the drivers, and they told us what didn't work for them. And we went back and we built the next version, addressing everything that they've told us, right? And now we know that this is it, and it's not. So we're doing another iteration like that. We speak with the drivers that tell us what doesn't work. We build the next version. We know that we have addressed everything, so it's definitely going to work, right? And it's not. Iteration after iteration after iteration, journey of failures, of iterations, one after the other, more than 1 year of iterations, until it's starting to become good enough. And then it's starting to become good enough in multiple places. During this period of time that it was not good enough, we ran out of money. And we were just about to be shut down because we had no money. Right?
Okay.
And in addition, Google announced their map making and turn-by-turn navigation. And everyone told us that we are doomed, that we are going to die, and this is it. And we said, no, we are different. We are helping people to avoid traffic jams. We are not navigation. We are the daily commute driving tool for everyone, right? And this is why people are using Waze twice a day, right? When they go to the office and when they're coming back. Most of the Waze users, they're using Waze every time that they go into the car.
Yes.
very different use case than Google Maps. Mm-hmm. And we were lucky because Google announced their turn-by-turn navigation. Turns out that Microsoft did not have any solution, and they have invested in Waze. And so we were lucky in that sense that Google create a threat, but also an opportunity. And always, when there is a threat, there is also an opportunity.
Yes. Yeah.
And then in 2012, Waze was growing faster than the entire industry combined. 2013, Google came with the proposal to acquire us, and we said yes. And I left the day after so I can build more startups.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then there was also the Tim Cook Day.
Yes.
It was one of the best days that we had. But Apple tried to build Apple Maps, and it turns out to be not good enough, right? And they launched that globally, and it was not good enough, right? And so a lot of people tried that and complained, and then Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, said, "Look, we are sorry for making such a bad application. Please use Waze instead." And that was
Tim
amazing.
Cook said that.
Tim Cook. Whoa.
Yeah, because I remember that when they released their application, there were people heading to the ocean.
Yeah, there were a lot of challenges there, right? So occasionally they had no bridges, and then you basically there was a bridge, but it was not drawn on the map, right? And so they were telling people drive into the river and so forth.
And Uri, what did you see in the beginning? What was the vision? Because
helping people to avoid traffic jams. Now, if you ask me today, what is the value of Waze? It's different.
Yeah.
It's the certainty, right? You go someplace and you know how long it's going to take you. This certainty is way higher value than saving time, right? Mm-hmm. Even if I'm saving you, 10 minutes every morning and 10 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes a day, certainty worth way more to you. But it's even more than that. There are a lot of people that have told me that they wouldn't be driving without Waze.
Yes.
So therefore, I empower them to drive. Empowerment, way greater value than saving time or even create certainty.
Yes. My mother come to my house because my mother lives in another city, and my mother have a little bit of a fear to drive, but with Waze, my mother comes to my house.
That's what he say.
That's it.
That's creating value.
Yes, man. With Waze.
And that helps her to be close to you.
Yes.
And that's the biggest value
with
in
my
life.
Nephew, yes. My mother. Yes. That's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think there is a concept also, Joel. You want me to say in Portuguese, maybe to...
Okay.
Tem conceito que é, assim, para mim, então, foi super disruptivo, assim, demais. E que o Uri fala muito. Que é assim, pra galera, principalmente a galera de startups e que está criando startups. Eu vou esperar ter massa crítica. A gente ouve muito, né? Sim. Vai esperar ter massa crítica, eu vou esperar que tenham tantos usuários. Aí fica com medo de lançar. Não. Se tem um usuário, lança. Por quê? Porque você tem poucos usuários para decepcionar. E você vai aprender muito com aquele usuário.
Ele vai te dar muito feedback.
Muito feedback. I was talking about...
I think I understood.
You did?
Yes.
Wow.
Not the Portuguese,
He's a fast learner.
but the story.
Yes.
So look, at the end of the day, and this is going back into product market fit, right? If you create value, users are going to come back. As simple as that. Mm-hmm. If they're not coming back, you're not creating value. And therefore, for product market fit, there is only one metric, retention. That's it, right? If you bring them back, that means that you have created value for them. If you don't, they're not going to come back. Now, it doesn't help you if you're going to bring new users if they're not coming back. You can invest tons of money in marketing and bring new users, and they're not coming back. It's like, trying to take water with a drainage, right? So all the waters will run out. That's it.
Retention is the North Stars of...
Retention is the North Star when you are in the phase of trying to figure out product market fit. That's the only metric that matters. That's the only metric that matters. Now, occasionally I will tell people, look, biggest enemy of good enough is perfect. You don't need to be perfect in order to win the market. You need to be good enough. And in order to get to become good enough, you start with not good enough.
Yes.
And you are speaking with the users, get their feedback, doing another iteration, another iteration, another iteration, another iteration, until you become good enough.
Yes.
Now, just imagine that there are two twin sisters companies, right? They start exactly the same day. They're doing exactly the same thing. They have, twin brothers and sisters teams. They're doing exactly the same. Now, one day, this company is saying, our product is not ready, so we're going to keep on building that. And this company is saying, our product is not ready, but we are going to go to the market with it. From this point on, this company is moving so much faster that they're way beyond the likelihood. They are going to win the market because they're faster. Now, to a certain extent, I would say, when I tell that to a lot of people, they tell me, but I'm going to, if my product is not ready, I'm going to lose my customers. Mm-hmm. And I will tell them, wait a minute, you don't even have customers. What exactly are you going to lose, right? Or I'm going to hurt my brand name. You don't have a brand name. You will have a brand name after you have a lot of customers. And so
that's really smart.
Yeah.
And so you have nothing to lose, and therefore the only important thing is that you move fast.
I had never heard that before from anyone.
Yeah.
It's very disruptive.
Yes.
And very intelligent.
Yes.
That story you tell about that guy who they asked him about the decisions.
It's one of the chapters in my book is called Firing and Hiring. Yeah. It's chapter 6, I think. Yeah. And when I initially sent the book proposal to publisher, they told me, oh, no, it should be hiring and firing. And I said, no, firing is hard decision. Hiring is easy decisions. First of all, you have to learn how to make hard decisions. Now, this is coming from me speaking with a lot of entrepreneurs that their startup failed and ask them why, what happened? And about half say the team was not right. And I kept on asking, okay, what do you mean the team was not right? So I heard, this guy was not good enough and this guy was not good enough. So not good enough was the main reason. Another reason that I heard quite often was we had communication issues, right? Something that I actually called ego management issues.
See.
And then I asked them the most interesting question: when did you know that the team is not right? And all of them knew within the first month. All of them knew within the first month that the team is not right. And you say, wait a minute, if you knew within the first month that the team is not right and you didn't do anything, the problem was not that the team was not right. The problem was that the CEO did not make hard decisions.
Yes.
Making hard decisions is hard. Making easy decisions is easy. This is why most people don't like to make the hard decisions, because they're hard. And in a small organization like startups, the hard decisions will go all the way to the top. Now, here is the bigger picture of the problem, right? Let's assume that there is, in a small team, 10, 20, 30 people, there is someone that shouldn't be there. And it doesn't matter why. That person shouldn't be there.
All right.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows. Everyone knows, and the CEO doesn't do anything. That's the nature of the beast. Now, the result is always the same. The top performing people, they would leave. Now, then you end up with an organization that, okay, you have people that shouldn't be there that you have kept, and the top performing people are leaving, and that's the beginning of the end. This is where you are not going to be successful because you don't have strong enough team. Now, in my chapter, I take that into the conclusion that I'm basically telling people, look, if you are going to hire someone new, mark your calendars 30 days down the road and ask yourself one question.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know today, would I hire this person? Now, if the answer is yes, then go to this person and tell them that you are really excited that they've joined and that they exceed your expectation. But if the answer is no, fire them immediately.
Wow.
Because they are not going to be successful. And so the team knows they create damage for you because you are not showing the leadership of making hard decisions. And these people, you are going to do them a favor when you let them go because they deserve to be successful. But they are not going to be successful here.
Yeah, strong
painful,
culture. Yeah.
Very strong.
Strong
very
culture.
strong. But, end of the day, the CEO behavior is critical in order to make successful business.
Yeah.
For a startup, the two most important things are, number one, never give up, right?
All right.
Number two, make hard decisions with conviction. Number three, listening to your users, is build a strong team. That's about it.
And that story about, they asked a guy, the CEO or someone, I don't remember who was, like, how did you become successful?
It's
That's nice.
It's a story of a very successful CEO that never got any interview in the media. He actually shied away from the media. He didn't want to speak with the media. And one day he told one of the reporters, you know what, I'm going to answer 3 questions for you. And so the reporter asked the first question, how do you become such a successful CEO? He said 2 words, right decisions. Then he asked them, so how do you know to make those hard decisions? 1 word, experience. Okay, but how do you gain the experience? He said 2 words, wrong decisions.
That's fantastic.
It's at the end of the day, look, there are many things that you will need to discover by yourself.
Yes.
The most important part is that you are not afraid of the failure, and therefore you're going to try. And if it doesn't work, then the next morning you go with the conviction to the next try that this time it's going to work, right? And every time you go again and again and again, this time it's definitely going to work. This time it's definitely going to work. This time it's definitely going to work. The most important part is that if it doesn't work, then the next day you go with a new approach.
Yes. Yes. Strong culture. Leadership in your veins.
Yes.
Yes. I like to talk about leadership. And when you hire somebody, when you hire somebody, do you have a sequence of questions or just one question that with that question you can read the environment around you?
So when you interview someone, then you set the first impressions after seconds, right?
Yes.
That's the same when you are meeting an investor. They set their impressions in a second. That's the same when you are going on a date. After a few seconds, you already know if you like the date or not, right? And then maybe there are a few more minutes that you actually allow yourself to either get convinced or not. And therefore, for a second, I would say interview by itself is not that strong, because you are performing a role and the interviewer is performing another role, and you don't know what it's like in real life, right? The best thing is to speak with co-worker of that person from before, right? Because they will tell you.
Yeah.
And if someone is going to ask me about a specific person that I worked from before, they don't need to spend time with me. I will tell them yes or no. That's it. End of story. Very simple. Mm-hmm. One day someone asked me if he was looking for a reference on someone that I really think highly of them. And they asked me if we can spend 20 minutes on the phone. And I said, look, I'm traveling. I cannot. But if you want that in 1 word, take the guy. And then he, trying to outsmart and send me an email. Can I ask that in 2 words? And I say, yeah, take the guy fast. Because if we already established the underlying assumptions that everyone knows, then speak with those everyone. Speak with one of those that will tell you.
Yes.
So reference check, more powerful than interview.
Joel, eu acho que
eu vou começar a usar isso aí.
Cara,
não, vou não. Já,
o livro é demais.
Eu já decidi. I'm gonna use this
And the other part
this way.
is, look, if you have the method that someone that doesn't fit is going to be released within 30 days, and you're looking for a new position to be filled, hire 2. Don't even interview them. Hire 2 people. If you ended up to be lucky and both of them are amazing, then this is awesome, right? Then you have actually double the horsepower and you can move way faster. If some of them doesn't fit, then you end up with the one that you wanted. You would know within a month. And the most important part is that if you build the practice that you don't keep people that shouldn't be here, then you end up with a methodology that the interview or the hiring process is way less important than the firing process.
Whoa.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there, in any certain point, Uri, you have to focus on the solution, like in another phase of a startup? Is there, let me rephrase it. Is there any point during the build-up of a startup that you have to focus on the solution, not the problem?
So when you start to build a product until you reach product market fit, then you remain focused on the problem, because solving the problem is the value that you want to create. Now, obviously, most of the efforts are going to be invested into building the solution for that. But it's never about the solution. It's about the value that you create. It's about creating it simple and powerful and creating value.
And the creation of values is intimated, connected to the problem.
Yes. Now, once you are done with the product market fit, then you move to different phases of the journey, right? So now you need to figure out your business model, or you need to figure out, how do I grow my business, right? How do I bring more customers or more users? And each one of them, guess what? It's going to be a new journey. And this new journey is going to be a roller coaster journey, long journey, and journey of failures.
Yes. And Uri, and how about the name of Waze? What is the meaning of Waze name?
So there is no meaning for the name. We try to find a name that is doing what, or trying to demonstrate what we are doing, and we thought that we would like to have Waze, that it's spelled W-A-Y-S, right? So the roads, right? And then it turns out that Waze.com cost $500,000, right? So someone had the URL and they wanted $500,000 that we did not have. Waze.com, that it's spelled this way, was $12,000, and that we did have. And so we ended up with this name, and then we say, you know what, it's also rhyme with maze and so forth. But in general, I would say names have no meaning. If you become successful, because you create value, not because of the name.
Wow.
And so if you want to figure out a name, then I would say, you know what, pick up any 3 strong vowels, so O, A, and I, and stick any letters in between, and then you end up with a name that people can pronounce, and that's it.
That's just like a slap on the face.
Yes, man. I love this guy. Yes.
It's and still most of the people are looking for meaning into the name, right?
Yes.
But you don't need a meaning.
Yes.
Just let me ask you that. What's the meaning of Google? There is no meaning. The story is that they started with a different name that called Google, and Google is a very large number, right? It's 1 and then 100 zeros behind it, right? It's a really large number. And when we're trying to raise capital, the first investor was one of the founders of HP, and he actually wrote a check, and instead of writing Google, he wrote Google. And Larry and Sergey were looking at the check and said, we are not going to return the check. And they changed the name of the company. You create value, you will become successful. It's not about the name.
Yes, man.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Cara, o que mais a gente tem que pontuar desse livro aqui, Marcel, que você acredita que a turma tem que... Porque essas histórias todas aqui dentro...
Tem muito, muito mais histórias.
Olha isso.
É porque assim, qual é o grande negócio? Uma coisa...
Cara, eu virei umas 3 chaves aqui já.
Assim, Joel, uma coisa que é super importante. Essa veia de professor que ele tem, isso é muito importante, porque é muito didático a maneira como ele coloca no livro. Sim. E a maneira como ele fala. Sim. Pode ver, é muito didático.
Yes.
E o livro, nós optamos, o nosso time editorial todo, nós optamos por deixar uma linguagem muito simples. Então, assim, é realmente simples. E não tem como parar de ler, porque é cheio de histórias. E assim, não tem em nenhum momento ele colocando o ego, ou o ego de alguém, porque eu consegui, porque fiz 2 unicórnios. Não, é conceito, conceito e conceito. Tapa na cara, tapa na cara e tapa na cara. Porque o próprio nome já começa assim, né? Quer dizer, quando na verdade a gente optou por fazer a compra e fazer o leilão do livro, disseram assim, loucura. Porque ninguém quer se apaixonar pelo problema, as pessoas querem solução.
Sim.
Então esse livro não vai vender. Eu falei, não, esse livro vai vender. Eu queria entender, porque eu não tinha lido ainda, né?
Sim.
E quando eu fui ler o livro, eu falei, nossa,
Sim.
é lógico. É muito lógico. Então todas as coisas que o Uri coloca são coisas muito lógicas. E tem essa veia de professor. Então, pô, imagina. A galera viu lá, né? O mapa começou zerado.
Uhum.
No Brasil, eu perguntei para ele na vinda, aqui no táxi. Uri, como é que foi no Brasil? Começou a zerar também? Ele falou, não, a gente fez uma parceria com uma empresa de mapas no Brasil. E aí daí como é que foi isso e tal? Não, foi uma troca, porque daí conforme os carros iam andando, quanto mais usuários tinham, mais ia enriquecendo o mapa.
Uhum.
E esse enriquecimento do mapa era uma troca com essa empresa do Brasil. Cara, é simplesmente genial. E assim foram em todos os países.
Yes. When Waze entered in Brazil? When?
2011.
2011. So 12 years ago, 2011.
But it was very fast to take off because traffic is a major problem here.
Yes. Yeah, São Paulo.
Yeah.
Paulo is
When I was heading to the hotel this afternoon to pick him up, I go like I was at the taxi and I look at that said, and then I WhatsApp, I text him, said, hey Uri, I'm running a little bit late, but I'll be there in a few minutes. That's what you say to any person, and anyone would say, hey, it's okay, no problem. Uri goes like, what's the ETA? And of course, I shared with them with Waze, real time.
It's, one of, I think, the most important chapters in my book is speaking about understanding users.
Yes,
and,
chapter 5 maybe.
I think it's 7 maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
And,
He knows
everything.
He knows everything.
Yeah, chapter 7. Sorry.
And it's all start with Steve Wozniak wrote the foreword to my book, and I met him for the first time maybe 7 or 8 years ago at a conference in Guatemala. And look, when I grew up, Steve Wozniak for me was the technological guru of the world, right? And so
yes.
I had an opportunity to have dinner with him, and I really wanted to have selfie with him. So I took out my iPhone, and I was lucky to have an iPhone, right? Because if I would have something else, that might be a problem, right? Now, when you took selfie, there are actually 2 ways that you can take the selfie, right? So you can click on here.
Yes.
Or you can use the volume button.
Yes.
Right? And this is what I did. I used the volume button. And he told me, finally. I said, finally what? I said, finally someone using it the way that I meant it to be. And then you realize that there are different users, right? And what we usually have is that if we're using something in a certain way, then we think that this is the only way that it can be used. And does not even cross our mind that there are other people that are not us that are using it differently. Now, if you're building a new product, there is no way for you to figure out that you are not representing the rest of the audience, that you are only a sample of one person. Mm-hmm. And the only way that you can figure that out is actually watch other people using your product. And then if it's not the way that you meant it to be, then ask them why. Mm-hmm. And this is the only way that you can learn about how to improve the product and do the iterations time after time after time, so you can actually become with the right product and actually answer the needs of many of the users. Now, people have the tendency to overcomplicate things, right? So you will end up with a lot of features. Well, let me ask you the following. Mm-hmm. All the applications that you have used today, right? And you probably have used Waze and WhatsApp and maybe searching Google and Instagram and so forth. How many features have you used in each one of them? Maybe 1, maybe 2. That's about it, right? We don't need a lot of features in order to create value. We need simplicity in order to create value. And in that sense, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
Yes.
That's, by the way, Leonardo da Vinci said that.
Yes.
Right? So way smarter than all of us combined. But I think that this is really important to understand. When you are building a product, you want it to be simple. And the simpler that you make it, you increase the likelihood of being successful. Because people are afraid of change, and they're afraid of complexity. And if you give them something that they don't understand, then they have two options in their mind, right? One is to say, I'm stupid, I don't understand that, and people don't like to think of themselves as stupid. And the other one is that the product is not good. Right? And if the product is not good, then they're not going to use it. Simple.
Simple. Que papo. Que papo legal.
To reach, like for the startup people that will be listening to Joel,
Yeah.
his millions of users and followers.
Yes.
How do you reach 1 billion followers and 1 billion users in your startup?
So number one, the only way that you can get such a large number is that if your product is free. If it's not free, then you will never get such a large number. Now, number two, if I would ask you, how did you hear about Waze? Then you will tell me, someone told me. And that's usually the case, right? So successful products that have reached 1 billion of users, it was always word of mouth.
Oh, that's
Word of mouth, everyone wants to have word of mouth, but you can only have word of mouth if you have high frequency of use.
Yes.
So to a certain extent, I would say, I know that you're recording a weekly session. If you'll do that twice a week, then people have more opportunity to listen. And the result is that they have more opportunities to tell other people.
Yes.
And this is how you're going to increase your success. Frequency of use. Now, frequency of use is also going to determine the journey, the phases of your journey. Because if you have high frequency of use, once you figure out product market fit, then your next part of the journey is about growth. If you don't have high frequency of use, your next part of the journey is about business model. Because you will never have, if you don't have high frequency of use, you will not end up with word of mouth. You will need to acquire users all of your life. If you're going to acquire users, then first of all, you need to figure out the business model. How do you make money from those users? It's not necessarily from the users. It's not necessarily that the users are going to pay, but you need to make money for every user that you're going to acquire.
Yes. Consistency. Frequency. Yeah. Yes. Value for you is like a right.
Value for me is the meaning of life.
The meaning of life.
wow. Wow.
For me to be meaningful, that means create value. The other alternative of meaningful is meaningless. I don't want to be meaningless.
Yes. Que papo legal, Marcel.
Excelente, né? Bom, o Uri criou 2 unicórnios, né?
Meu. Pessoal.
Indo pro terceiro.
Indo pro terceiro. Então é o seguinte, pessoal. Caramba, que profundo isso, cara. Que profundo. Aqui está o livro Apaixone-se pelo problema, não pela solução. Eu li um capítulo quando você me deu um pedacinho e já foi motivo para eu ter uma conversa profunda com a esposa, conversa com a equipe. Foi muito importante e tem sido muito importante. Esse livro acabou de ser publicado aqui no Brasil, aqui no último mês, agora 15 de agosto, fresquinho, acabou de sair. E tem uma coisa muito interessante, né? Ele acabou de ser publicado nos Estados Unidos.
Sim.
Porque geralmente o livro é publicado nos Estados Unidos e leva 1, 2, 3 anos para chegar no Brasil. Você pegou no mesmo ano.
Na verdade, a Citadel, parte da escolha do Uri foi justamente a nossa rapidez em deixar o livro pronto. Parte disso.
Muito bom, cara. Ou seja, você vai ler um livro que acabou de ser lançado mundialmente. Eu me ligo muito no ano de publicação dos livros, assim, né? Pô, o que tem de novo? O que tem de recente? Então é um livro prático, verdadeiro, de uma pessoa especial. O link tá aqui também para você. Você compra esse livro aqui. O QR Code está na tela para você comprar esse livro. Manda mensagem lá pro Marcial, manda mensagem pra galera da Citadel, manda mensagem pro Uri no LinkedIn que ele gosta. E, meu, Obrigado pela oportunidade.
Obrigado, Joel. Obrigado a você.
Thank you.
Obrigado.
Obrigado. Thank you very much for the time. Thank you for the lessons. I'm very proud about that. This is my first time talking English in my podcast. I'm like a little bit nervous.
And let me say that you are doing great.
Yes, man.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes, thank you very much.
Great.
I'm just like
As you are.
100% focused in this interview. And my first time is with Uri Levine. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Pessoal, obrigado pelo tempo de vocês. Esse foi um JJ especial, primeira vez em inglês. Eu acho que agora eu dei uma destravada, hein? Então acho que vai ter mais vezes, tá bom? E se você não é inscrito no canal, por favor, se inscreva no canal aqui no YouTube, porque isso adiciona valor para o canal. Add value. Add value.
Add value.
Adicione valor na sua vida. Tome decisões difíceis. Entenda, aprende, que mais importante é depois quem você... Demite para depois contratar bem. Nunca desista, tome decisões difíceis e converse com os seus usuários. Alguns dos ensinamentos que estão aqui, né?
Fall in love with the book.
É isso aí, galera. Obrigado. A gente se vê no próximo JJ Podcast. Valeu. Tchau.